Namaste, Jai Bharat. This is about the present scenario of Pakistan. We see that Pakistan is in turmoil. In fact, they never had any consistent existence after being separated from Bharat. So the present turmoil is there. On the one hand, the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Those Kashmiris do not cherish existing with Pakistan. They really don't want to be with Pakistan for want of material things, of course. And the Pathans are not comfortable with Pakistan. And maybe the Multanis also are not very comfortable with them. And of course, the Balochs of late are explicitly fighting with them. They have a Balochistan Liberation Army, so-called, etc. So this is the situation in Pakistan. Now, there are two things with the Pakistanis which we must focus on, we must understand is that, number one, they consider that they are the best Muslims. They consider that they are the best Muslims in the world. And they also consider that other Muslims are not as good as them, inferior to them. From that, another thing develops, that this narrows down to the point that I am the best Muslim, others are all inferior to me. This kind of a jazba in their own language, this kind of a narrative is playing into their mind, which creates a mindset, and this is one difficulty with them. Second thing is that they don't understand what's the meaning of coexistence. They don't know coexistence. They have this spurious and vague superiority complex. Now, and of course, the second thing is that they believe that Islam can unite them. That's how they separated from Bharat. Islam can unite them. Just because one is being Islam, they could stay together. And at the same time, their first thing which I said contradicts the second point. This is a situation in Pakistan which is self-contradictory. Let's see that from where this kind of ideas originated, that Islam is a unifying factor, and the Muslims of Pakistan, of course, that time Bharat, are the best Muslims in the world, the most disciplined Muslim in the world. These two things, I have traced their roots to none other than Muhammad Iqbal, who is otherwise respected and revered in Pakistan of today as Allama Iqbal, though at that time of his existence he was not taken that seriously just because of one reason, that he is a Punjabi. That is the time, that is before the beginning of 19th century, the Punjabis were not having any upper hand that time. But then today in Pakistan, it's only the Punjabis who have the upper hands. So that time, Iqbal was not taken very seriously, not respected, just because of one reason, he is a Punjabi. Otherwise, he had been an established poet and a good poet, definitely. Interestingly, as I understand and as I could gather, Iqbal is a PhD in philosophy. I could not find out from which university, and I also could not find out what was his research topic. Most likely European philosophy, most likely. And he also makes a reference to Renan, and that of course is not in this context. So this Muhammad Iqbal was not given his due at that time in the All India Muslim League, AIML, which was born in 1906, right after the division of Hindu Bengal and Muslim Bengal in 1905, after the Minto Mole reforms. Of course, 1906, the All India Muslim League was formed at the instance of Nawab Dhaka, and the All India Muslim League became non-existent after 1947, 15th August or 14th August as per them, and the Indian Union Muslim League took that chance or filled that gap. So what Muhammad Iqbal did, there was the All India Muslim League annual conference at Allahabad, in 1930, and that time there was a round table going on in London, and all other so-called established, celebrated Muslim leaders were all there. So Muhammad Iqbal got a chance to be the president of that 1930 AIML conference, and in the month of December he gave a presidential address, and that presidential address, when got printed, came into 22 pages, lengthy one, and that really speaks about these two ideas. Number one, they are the best Muslims. Number two, Islam unites. So just because one is a Muslim, one can be together. They need not to be a separate law, etc., etc., etc. You can make further narratives of it. So these 2 points he establishes very philosophically, naturally, very philosophically in his presidential address. I'll just go through some points. Number one, he says that Islam is an authority that has to be obeyed. First point, he says that, now it's a long speech. I'm trying to pick up things which are relevant. Islam is an authority which has to be obeyed. That just seals your critical thinking and questions. That has to be obeyed, as simple as that. Then, this is interesting. This is a very philosophical thing he puts forward. Islam is an ethical ideal and a polity. Now look at this. Islam is an ethical ideal. Now the idea of ethical ideal, he borrows from dharma. He is an Indian in any case. He is a Bharatiya till that time. He must definitely have been influenced by it. Whether he subscribes to such views of Bharatiya Shaddarshana or not, he must have been influenced. So the dharma concept he puts into ethical ideals. So Islam is an ethical ideal, and the second point he says is a polity that can make all kinds of differences. This statement is a polity. It means all Muslims, he will take slowly to that. All Muslims in the world can coexist, and they can coexist they can coexist naturally, spontaneously. This is what he tries to speak of. Now, a Muslim or Bharat, he speaks of that, has to have his loyalties to Islam only. Both emotional loyalties or any other loyalties, what you can think of. You have to be loyal to Muslim. Number one, you can't disobey, you have to be loyal. And then he says that Indian Muslims are special. See, from here only the idea springs forward that the Pakistanis are the best Muslims in the world. They wanted to say that all of the Muslims in the world are inferior to them, including the Arabs. Look at the irony. Look at the irony. This is Indian Muslims are special. Of course, the Muslims of Bharat are special because they share the Sanskriti of Bharat. That is what makes us special, which Iqbal doesn't understand. It's no, or he ignores. He finds a speciality with the Muslims of Bharat. See, he will credit the Bharatiya Muslims for creating Taj Mahal, creating many other structures, but if the such abilities are with Islam, why such things did not take place or happen in other Islamic nations other than in Bharat? So it is the Bharatiya Muslims who are Bharatiyas essentially who created all those things, not single-handedly, not out of Islam, but out of Bharatiya Sanskriti and Bharatiya knowledge tradition. That part he doesn't speak of. He suppresses that fact. Then Indian Muslims especially says. Then of course he started criticizing Christians and Europe to substantiate his view and support his argument for the sake of Islam. He says he condemns the Protestant revolt in Europe. See, we know the Lutheran kind of revolt. He condemns the Protestant revolt in Europe, and he says Christianity also had a universal ethics. It was also polity, but the Protestant revolt destroyed the universal ethics of Jesus. He would say that universal ethics of Jesus is broken by this Protestant revolt. He doesn't see the other side. They have evolved into many other churches within Christianity other than the Catholic Church. And you look at the Catholic Church at that time and their drawbacks, and look at the coming of the other different churches, so Lutheran, Church of England, and all kinds of things, and look at the developments they made both theologically and otherwise, and all these things are ignored, sidelined. He says it should have been a one church. It should have been a one church. So he accuses the Protestant revolt, and subsequently he will accuse Martin Luther for this in any case. So he accuses Europe for another thing. He says religion should be official. He accuses European Christians for delinking religion from the state. That is what one of the important points in Protestant revolt. They have made religion official, state religion, theocratical states, which Iqbal says is a mistake. So he says it's a mistake of the Christians who delinked religion from the state. State must have a religion, official religions. Everyone must follow that religion. Others will have no say. They are nothing. There should be nothing. Then he accuses Martin Luther and calls him as the destroyer of Christianity. Then he says Islam is a universal polity, and Islam is a living force beyond geographical differences, beyond linguistic differences. Islam is a universal polity, and it is beyond language and region and geography, all kinds of things. They are one. That's what he says. Then you don't have any other destiny other than Islam itself. He goes on saying that Islam is itself is a destiny. Many more things he says that I would stop here, otherwise it will become very, very, very lengthy kind of a talk. He says Islam itself is a destiny. And look at this. He is explicitly heading towards the concept of Darul Islam, an Islamic world. He says Islam is a unity. Islam is a polity. Therefore all Muslims should be one, are one, and their loyalty is to Islam. They have to be their obedience is to Islam, and they exist for Islam because Islam itself is their destiny. This is the gist of the presidential address Muhammad Iqbal made in 1930 December in All India Muslim League conference at Allahabad. Now, what happened to this kind of emotional, ambitious picture of Islam after Pakistan got separated? With all those things, they said we just can't live with anybody else. We won't live with Kafirs, that is Hindus. So we want to separate, the two-nation theory, all kinds of things. Islam is a unity, Islam is a nation, and Islam is everything. Islam transcends geographical, linguistic differences, etc. What happened? With that, they became separate, Pakistan, and they became separate to the extent that wherever there were Muslim majority had gone to Pakistan, including Bengal, because Bengal division took place in 1905. And when Bangladesh fell apart in 1971, and Pakistan is suffering from this kind of internal turbulences. Where is the unity that Iqbal predicted in 1930 so effectively, so strongly, so formidably, and so emotionally? Where is the polity which Iqbal predicted in 1930 presidential address? Is Islam a unity? Is it a polity? Can they exist as one political unit, at least in one geographical region? Whereas he speaks of transcending geographical linguistic differences. My God, these people will continue finding differences among oneself, even within oneself, to create differences and then fight. This is what the contribution of Muhammad Iqbal, a philosopher, very educated man, good poet, orator, everything, but he is absolutely fantasized on Islam. All these things are his fantasies, and there are many others who took after his fantasies, and when it comes to practical level they fight one another. There are how many sects within Islam, and they even today speak about the casteism in Hindus. Of course, casteism, if it is there, we know how to deal with it. We don't have separate temples in the name of castes. We don't have separate texts in the name of caste. We don't have separate puja vidhis, puja system in the name of caste. We don't have such things, but you have. Both Christians and Muslims have this. And still they wanted to say that the Hindus are divided in the lines of caste. Especially today in political arena, they wanted to highlight caste. Okay, but this is what Iqbal speaks about Islam, and this is what he projects Islam as, and this is what many people believe in but are unable to understand and live up to it. So they quarrel. They can't coexist. Each one disturbs others, exploits and destroys others. They go to one another's mosques and put bombs. They kill one another. This is Islam's polity. This is Islam's unity, as Iqbal predicted. Look at it. So it's a fantastic fantasy, and this is a root problem with European philosophy, which is essentially speculative philosophy. One speculates on emotions. That is why you call Marx a romantic, you call Max Muller a romantic. And look at this Iqbal, the same line. He also romanticized Islam. Many people, but Jinnah did not. He knew that these coconuts can't coexist, they'll fight one another. At least Jinnah was a Gujarati, Iqbal is a Punjabi. I don't know why he fantasized. This is what he thought. And this is what Iqbal is about. Lot of things again further he said. It takes long time if I speak more. So I will conclude here. Namaste. Till we meet again. Jai Bharat and Jai Shri Ram.